Tesla is one of the worst things that's ever happened to car culture. And this isn't just about EV versus gas, but boring designed companies like Tesla have taken the soul, identity, and design out of the cars we've grown to love. How did we get to this point? Welcome to Glue FM, ideas, stories, and conversations that help you keep it all stuck together. I'm Jesse. Let's get into it. So, the first thing that I want to talk about with why I think Tesla is the worst company, and they're not the only offender for the homogenization of cars that we've been going through over the past, I'd say, 10 or 15 years. I don't think you have to be super into cars either to notice stuff like this. We have went downhill in terms of individuality, different color options, style, form, everything. And, you go to buy a new car today, everything is gray. The color options you seem to have are black, white, silver, gray, light gray, and dark gray. I see tons of jobs, parking lots, everything with cars parked outside of it, and it feels like everything is just kind of this mid-tier crossover SUV type thing in a gray, black, or white color. And I think that cars are so important, especially in California and especially in our culture. And don't get me wrong, I would love to live in a place where public transit superseded the need for this. But since it doesn't, and since we have been living in a society like this for so long, I think it's important to remain our unique and keep this individuality in the things that we do. This dude, James from Speed, one of my favorite channels, said, your car is your most important outfit. And I really do agree with that. And even if you are one of the people who just wants a point A to point B car, that's fine. You still used to have more options, more colors, and just a more unique way to express yourself. Even if you didn't truly care, it was kind of cared for you. And I just feel like you look around now and everything you see is this smooth, egg-shaped, soulless car. And I think car companies have gotten so used to catering to this strange middle ground that they're not even fulfilling the needs of the people who want the most reliable, most efficient car, or the people who want something with style, uniqueness, and individuality. And we're just stuck with this kind of gray blob thing that both groups are kind of satisfied with. And I know that they want to make money, and I'm sure these car companies have done millions of surveys and tests to realize that the best possible way to make the most amount of money is make this cheap-ish, boring car in this certain shape. And every single company has this same crossover mid-size SUV thing that they offer. And the consumers don't lie. They obviously buy them. People are happy with them, but people are also kind of happy just with what you give them. It's not like people asked for this, but it's almost like they're not upset that it's that way either. And that's okay, I think, for most people. And I understand that this is probably something that some people don't even care about at all. But I wish that there was more options for the people who did care about it. Even looking back into the 90s and especially 80s, 70s, 60s, and so on, we used to have more bold colors, more personality, more options, more different trim levels, customization for things that you would want. You could cater to someone who wants something more utilitarian, more outdoors, more speed. And yeah, we still have that now, but it feels like you have to go over the top and spend like $80,000 just to get something cool in terms of like a truck spec or whatever. And the 90s and 2000s cars that I grew up with, they just had so much identity and personality. And that's how far we have fallen from grace in the car culture world, is that I used to not even like the cars that were coming out around my time. And I was obviously nostalgic for cars from the 60s and 70s and stuff like that. But now that we're all the way in 2026, I think I've grown to respect and love it more. And I look at the cars from kind of the Y2K era and the 90s, and I'm like, I really like these. Like a Mustang Fox body, for example. I never liked those. Now I think they're awesome. We've traded all levels of personality for efficiency and ease and blending in. And there is a world where that's okay, but I don't really want to be a part of it entirely. And I'm trying my best to keep this stuff alive by buying older cars and things. And I just hate how everything is this weird limbo space, right? Like trucks used to be trucks, cars were cars, and we didn't have this mishmash in between kind of designed vehicle that could kind of do everything but also does nothing at the same time because it doesn't know where it needs to live. Minimalism has gone too far in the car world, and I hope that companies continue to make innovation and do cooler stuff and bring back newer things. Like Nissan, they're doing super dope shit with their N series. I never thought Nissan would be one of the cars, especially in like the JDM world, that was leading the forefront in like tuner stuff and stuff that people would like to upgrade and drive and have fun with. But they are. So companies can do it. It's just their choice if they really want to respect their power users, for lack of a better word. Growing up in Southern California, this stuff was indoctrinated into me. Car culture here is insane. I mean, even driving around the other weekend on a Sunday, I saw about 60 old classic cars driving around, a bunch of old guys going to a car show. I feel like stuff like that doesn't quite happen every single place in the United States and especially in other countries. Obviously, there's places for that, but it just feels not rare at all for people to really care about cars here. And I know the car companies back in the day lobbied and made it so we kind of had to care about them and ruined the public transportation systems that we could have had. I understand that. Those are the hands we are dealt. So if we have to live in a car world, I want to live in one that has dope ones. I want to live in a world that has self-expression and car culture at the forefront, and not in a world that's like, do you want the Honda, Lexus, Hyundai, Ford, or Chevy crossover mid-size 6-passenger SUV? And cars are kind of like clothes, right? Like in music, I love music, I love fashion, I love cars, I love design, all of it. And it creates these different subcultures that you get to be a part of. And having just another one getting kind of homogenized and stripped away in the popular culture is lame. And I don't know. I grew up loving lowriders and like that kind of Chicano culture level of cars. And then as I got older, I really loved the JDM stuff. I was one of those kids who had like a Nissan GTR wallpaper on my phone, and on my MySpace, I had a picture of a Nissan Hakasuka. Like I've grown to love old trucks and lifted trucks in the more recent years too. And I recently got a dream truck of mine. And it's funny because it's a dream car, but it's like, it costs what, fucking 10 to 20% the price of what other people's dream cars would be. You know, if I won the lottery or some shit, it would only take me like 200K to or 300K to get all the cars I ever wanted. I would just have a fleet of mid-tier 90s and 2000s Facebook marketplace buys. It would be like I'd be like a car collector, but only for shit that I lowballed people on Facebook Marketplace for. I got a 1991 F-150 recently. It's super dope. I got it from this farm in Tennessee and shipped it over. It's black. It's super clean. It's a short bed, single cab, bench seat, red interior, 4-wheel drive, all the specs I wanted. I've already had to work on it a bunch. It's not as reliable at all as a new car or as I thought it would be. It gets about 9 to 12 mpg. It's super loud when you drive it on the freeway. It's not fast. All these things that don't sound good. And I love it so much still. And I can't wait. I get excited every time I get to drive it. I love that I was able to upgrade it with a new sound system, add an alarm system to it, but still keep most stuff classic and original. I love that it feels like me. It feels so good to drive a car that feels like it's representing your identity and how you feel as a person. And I'm not trying to get too deep and corny with this, but if you've ever really wanted something or really liked something and then finally got it, you know that sometimes that can be underwhelming, or the journey was better than the destination. And while that may be true to an extent with this purchase, when I still drive that truck around, I feel excited and it feels good. And everyone doesn't need an old car that they always have to work on. I get that. But for the people that do like it, it's nice. And I wish we still had better options that were accessible like that. And, you know, with Tesla, to bring it back to, kind of the core or the theme of this podcast, I didn't want to completely clickbait you by making the title Tesla and not talking about that. They're not just another car company or brand who is furthering this homogenization of boring cars and EVs and stuff. They are a symbol of the tech homogenized product and tech companies trying to get their hands on every single sector that we have in this capitalist society and milk the most amount of money out of it under the guise of changing stuff for the better. I think it's the default kind of tech bro car, and it's for people who never really cared or liked cars and are okay with having just some EV that's boring. Nothing's fit right. I heard a quote saying Tesla isn't a car company. They're a tech company who makes cars. And it's very apparent with the fitments of everything and how stuff doesn't feel like it was catered to people who like cars. It's more catered to people who like technology. And if you like that shit, it's perfect for you. And that makes sense. What's scary, though, a little bit about Tesla is a lot of people that have that car are the people who are chill, laid back, just person who's like, I want the point A to point B car. I don't care about driving. I'm not the best driver, maybe. I just used to buy a Camry or a Civic, got good mileage, and was on with my day. And that's perfect. But now you gave them basically the fastest car on the road, and they're still not that good at driving. The car makes you car sick when you're in the passenger seat, and they're fucking mobbing all over the place, and they're not paying attention, on their phone, commuting to work, whatever. Like it's too fast for its own good and for people who don't care about going fast. I think that's a weird, it's weird for a person to not care about something to get the highest tier version of something for that low of a price. And it'd be like, no, it's just kind of the juxtaposition of that is funny to me. And they're clean, and I'm sure that they're nice to an extent, but I feel like it's very sterile, and it's the biggest offender of the lack of design and identity in cars that we've seen. And, I think it's just designed for optimization and not emotion, and it's not designed for any type of soul or identity. It's designed for being cheap, easy, and inoffensive. But ironically, it's become one of the most offensive things you can drive with the rise of people hating Elon Musk. And, people used to love Elon Musk. All the liberal outdoors people's like hero, because he was going to change the world with all his environmental stuff. And man, no one ruined their brand, it seems like, faster than him, because it doesn't seem like people really fuck with them on either side of the spectrum now. And I find it hard to believe that any billionaires are pure or good, and the way they got to that point is probably by doing something nefarious at some point. So, but he's definitely up there with some of the wackest billionaires for sure. You need another reason not to have one. It's like, now you're supporting some fucking goofball billionaire who's on like some power trip shit. So, and here's the thing. I don't want this to sound like I'm against EVs either, because as much as I love gas and diesel cars, and as much as I love the sound, the feeling, and all that, I understand that there's also cool EVs and they could potentially be better for the environment. I get that. So if you want a dope EV that's fast like Tesla and cool, you can get a Porsche Taycan if you have enough money to afford it. A Rivian. I drove a Rivian recently because I went to this event that was sponsored by Rivian, and I got to drive one of their SUV things all the way from Long Beach, I think, to Yosemite. Long drive. That shit was comfy, and I kind of got used to it, and it was fast, and it charged quick over in the middle of nowhere too. Pretty dope. The BMW i4, and there's a bunch of other EVs in the Honda and Toyota market that are smaller, more budget friendly. I see a lot of rich people be buying Teslas, and I know that they could afford to get a way cooler car with like the BMW one or the Porsche. So, and those are mostly the Model 3, I guess, and the S I'm talking about. I don't even want to get too started on the fucking Cybertruck. That thing is overpriced. It looks extreme and unique, but it's still somehow soulless and kind of vapid, and it has not a lot of character. As much as I love square shapes and sharp edges, they somehow fucked that up too by making it too sharp and like low poly. I just don't understand the cost. People were buying these for over like multiple six figures, which really blew my mind. It doesn't even particularly do truck stuff well. Sure, it's fast, and sure, it has these insane 0 to 60 times that Tesla likes to brag about. But if you're spending over 6 figures on a truck, you could get a dope ass truck. You could get a Raptor. You could get a full built out TRD off-road Tacoma or Tundra. You could get a giant like F2, F350 if you want a tow shit or a diesel or all that shit. You could get the Rivian truck and off-road spec it out if you want it to be like an Overlander or an EV. There's so many fun options that you could choose to have your personality show and have fun and get something cool and support companies that have tested time and had dope products over all the years, and people still choose to get the Cybertrucks, which is crazy. But I get it. I think it's also like a rage bait car. I think some people like to get it because they're like, look at me, I'm rich, I can get this, and a lot of people don't like it, but fuck you. So I get that. I feel like the Hummer kind of had that ideology when it first came out. It was like a very cocky type of car, I guess, to drive around. And you know, for all the normal people who don't give a fuck about car culture and can't be bothered to care about any of this, I feel for you. Not everyone has all the same interests as me or hobbies or like stuff or is passionate about the same things. If you want a normal point A to point B car, fuck buying a Model 3. Support the cars that have tested time every single year, it seems like, and wins the best awards for the best type of point A to point B car. You could get these options, right? It's so easy. You don't give a fuck about cars and you want something reliable, cheap to maintain, gets good mileage, looks chill, fancy enough. You get a Toyota Corolla, a Toyota Camry, a Honda Civic, or a Honda Accord. Basically the same counterparts of each other, unless you want a more larger one or smaller one. Cost is good. Cost to own is good. Not much more to say about that. Real car companies, reliable, better interiors, cheaper than the Model 3, but doesn't look cheaper. If you still want to have a little bit of personality, but you want a point A to point B car, there's a ton of older dope shit you could buy. You could buy an old Tacoma. You can buy an old RAV4 CRV, cool little compact SUV. You could buy an old Civic, an old Camry, any of those things. And it's, you know, not always practical to drive around a fucking 90s F-150. I get that. It sucks driving that thing on the freeway. I don't even like driving it when I go all the way to LA because I have to go kind of slow on the freeway or else the fucking road noise is insane. And I get that. So I recently picked up an 05 Honda CRV for like $5,000. Super cheap, reliable as fuck. It has the classic, I think K24 or K20 Honda VTEC engine in it. And it has a fucking picnic table. Like, I'm not even against small SUVs and this kind of crossover thing. It's the ones now that have all turned into the same exact shape and don't have any fun personality. I like the fucking tire on the back of the CRV. I like that it has a picnic table. I like that it's not very fast, but it's chill. It's the same as kind of buying the Honda Civic or Corolla, but I wanted just something a little bit more cool. And that's what's funny is it's like I was saying about how I never really cared about cars from the 90s or 2000s too much. I would have never thought I would look at a 2005 Honda CRV and be like, that shit's hard. But now that I kind of got interested in one and have one, I was like, this thing's sick. Like, compared to buying a new random car. And the best thing about buying an old cheap point A to point B car is you don't have payments. If you buy an old Honda or Toyota, that shit's going to go for like 250, 300,000 miles if you maintain it well. Like this one I bought has like 150K, and that's like half its life. A lot of new cars can't even make it that far, which is insane that technology is almost going backwards. This is about cars, yes, but I think that the reason this car culture identity kind of crisis is happening and is bothering me isn't just because it's about cars. And it's not just about Tesla, but it's more about how this hyper capitalism consumer culture has sucked everything out, the fun out of everything, and tried to maximize profits over any type of individuality and good design. They don't want choice. They want ease and less friction for the consumer to buy something so they can generate more money. It feels like, sure, they've probably been doing that all along. Obviously, I'm not fucking an idiot. I know it's not like the last 20 years is when the companies started being greedy, but at least they used to kind of make it seem like they cared and gave us more options in design. And it happens in so many things. Everyone has the same phone now. Everyone wants to have the same computer, the same camera, the same car. Safe design, less individuality, and everything being optimized. Every fucking thing is about optimization, it seems like. And it's just like depressing, I guess. Like I don't want to live in a world where the most important metric that every single company seems to operate in is optimizing instead of satisfaction or fun or happiness, whatever things like that kind of people felt like used to care about a little bit more. And I don't know. As a designer, I feel like it's in my nature to care about self-expression and design. I remember this old designer, Massimo Vignelli. One of his quotes was, a designer's job is a fight against the ugly, something like that. And I think it's my job and other people's job who operate in these worlds to advocate for unique options in any sector of the world, especially cars. Advocate for cool design, not just optimize and safe. And bring back some character and individuality into different sectors of these different markets. And especially cars, man. Cars are sick. You most likely have to have one if you live in the United States. And in a world of so many beautiful options, why would you want to pick the most boring one?